Welcome to the Profit by Design podcast. Today is a very, very special day. Not only do we have a very special guest with us, Sarah Martin of Cabin Works. Welcome, Sarah.
Hello.
Hello. We are celebrating the 200th episode of the Profit by Design podcast. And that's very special to me because when we started the podcast, we had the intention that we wanted to provide business education about real life business and business owners succeeding in having businesses that give them more time for what matters most and more money in their bank account than ever. So that means designing sustainably profitable businesses. And it's really special to me that we have you with us today, Sarah, as our guest, because not only is this the 200th episode of the Profit by Design podcast, but we are featuring you and Cabin Works in Tap the Potential's Great Place to Work Spotlight. And this truly is a journey of small steps forward, taken in a consistent direction, lead to big change in a relatively short period of time. Because when Sarah came to us at Tap the Potential, you were really struggling with your hiring, and you have worked on your culture, you've worked on your leadership, and you've put systems in place, not just to hire the best, but also to support your team and develop your team. And so we're going to dig into all of that today. And it's my hope, and I believe I'm going to speak for Sarah too. It's her hope that what she shares with you about her journey really inspires you for what's possible in your business. So if you're listening to this and you're struggling with hiring challenges and it's really holding you back, because Sarah was in a place 2 years ago where they have more opportunity, and you still do. You have more opportunity than you're able to take advantage of because of the hiring challenge. And so that was the big piece that we needed to solve for you to get things moving forward. So if you're listening to this and you're in that same place where your business could grow if you just had more better team members, I think what Sarah is going to share with you is going to be very inspiring. And the other thing I want to say as we go into this interview is if there's an obstacle or a consistent challenge that comes up in your hiring and you keep saying, I can't solve this problem, it's out of my control, wait till you hear what Sarah's done. She has taken on a massive challenge and found a solution. So as we go in, I want to share Sarah's background so you know a little bit about her. Sarah Martin is the president and owner of Cabin Works. Cabin Works is a property maintenance and cleaning company located in the rural mountain town of Granby, Colorado. She and her husband, Phil, started Cabin Works over 10 years ago with the goal of providing peace of mind to busy and absentee property owners in need of a reliable, professional, and trustworthy property maintenance company. Sarah and her team strive to foster a workplace culture of family involvement and work-life balance at Cabin Works. From company barbecues to family events, such as their annual bus trip to Denver to watch a Colorado Rockies game, and participation in the local annual kickball tournament to raise funds for charity, they get excited about involvement in their community and showing appreciation for their team's hard work. And when Sarah is not working, you can find her and Phil and their 3 young children, Olivia, Mia, and Asher, exploring the Colorado mountains on their skis or mountain bikes. So what a great area to live in, Sarah. I mean, it is just, Granby, Colorado is just beautiful, especially this time of year, right?
It is amazing here. I have to say, one of the best things we ever did was move. We moved to this community from more of a like from the Denver area and originally from the East Coast, but moved here in 2007. And it was a goal for both of us to be in a small ski community. We both are skiers and we have 2 resorts here. And it's also, the community is very tight. You know, we call our friends our family. Everybody uses that term. A lot of us, have kids in sports and they're really busy doing all the things that kids do. And we're shuttling, kids, families. I usually have 6 kids coming from gymnastics and dropping off at houses, and just so we can support one another, because most of us don't have actual family living here. It's just one of those communities that just make you really feel proud to be here. And by the way, we have we live in this gorgeous mountain area with lots to do. You do have to like the cold. You have to like the outdoors and really embrace the cold weather months. It is colder more than it is nice. We have the best summers. It's about 80 degrees and about 15 to 20 degrees hotter in Denver. So we just really try to suck it up, that warm weather for the 6 to 8 weeks we have it, and then it turns again, gets cold.
Yeah. So, I've been in that part of the country. It's such beautiful country, and you're about an hour to an hour and a half away from Denver, depending on the weather, because there's a pass. And so if it's really bad weather, it can be a much longer drive. And so that's, while all this is wonderful, that's really part of what makes the hiring such a challenge. So would you share a little bit about what the hiring challenges have been over the years for you guys?
Yeah. So we're an hour and a half from Denver, if you can go over the pass. Otherwise, it's over 2.5 hours to go around. So really, folks need to live in our valley. We call it the Fraser Valley, in order to work and make a housekeeping job sustainable, even an administrative job for our company. So we have, and then we are in this gorgeous vacation land type of environment. And with COVID especially, those houses have been scooped up and the prices have skyrocketed. I've listened a few times to my podcast before because there were so many good tips. So I've re-listened, and a lot of it, was housing based, just how to really support our team and find employees with the labor shortage and the housing challenge. And, it has gotten worse through COVID, just the environment. And the housing, presents the biggest hurdle, I think, for sustainability for our local workforce. And we have made major strides. We've gotten into landlording. We have some apartments now. And I think we'll get into this later, but my head housekeeper, the house she was renting sold, and she had 2 months to vacate, and we were able to pivot and put her in an apartment where now she has sustainability. So really,
let's stop right there. That's huge, because this is your head housekeeper. She had 2 months. And if you wouldn't have had housing for her, you would have lost her. She would have been moving out of the area, most likely, with her.
I think so. And she's been with us over 6 years. So she is a player, just so loyal. I mean, just a really important part of our cleaning department, and an incredible human with, just everything. So it really was stressful. It was a stressful time. I was trying, we were trying to find leads on housing, and, I just basically had to find something to rent personally or through the business, and be able to facilitate that support in that way. And we've added on some apartments where we've been able to support another housekeeper, and we have some others kind of in our with Cabin Works, that we can help pivot other housekeepers or technicians, if they do find housing challenges, which, everyone, it's a seller's market still now. So there really is a lot of movement, in the community.
So this provides stability for your team. If they have housing challenges, you're no longer risking them having to leave the area because of those housing challenges. You're able to come in and provide that support and help them address those needs. Yeah. So this is very significant, because when you were on the podcast, it was almost exactly 2 years ago. You were episode 101, and this is episode 200. And that was all on accident. I just happened to say, I think you need to be episode 200, Sarah. And I said, I know you've been on the podcast previously. And so we dug through the archives and found your episode, episode 101. And Mike Bruno and Aaron Longmoon were also with us on that episode. Aaron Longmoon owns Zephyr Recruiting. And we were brainstorming ideas to support you with your hiring challenges. And one idea that was thrown out, and it was in the context of, this is kind of extreme and, crazy idea, and maybe it would work, was for you to look at providing housing to address the biggest challenge that was keeping you from being able to hire and retain your team members. And so, do you remember where your frame of mind was during that episode and what you thought when that was brought up?
I really didn't think it was attainable, honestly. And you know, the idea, we're very close. We have a family mindset with work anyway. So there's always been a crossover. You know, work isn't just work. You know, work, it just, everything kind of combines. The kids are at work, you know, but landlording was a level that, wow, do I really want to go there? Do I want to be landlord to my staff too? It just was another layer that I really had to wrap my head around as far as the pros and the cons, because there are. And I have to say, I have my head housekeeper and her family in one unit and a housekeeper in another. And we have 2 other units that we can pivot and provide housing for. But it has been positive, you know, and we've had experience renting in the past, just personally. And for many years, and there's always, it's mostly positive, but, I mean, just to be able, honestly, to be able to support our team members in that way has been so meaningful. And for not just me, but, our cleaning manager, she and our team member in the office, Kristen, we all had parts and roles to play as far as that housing piece, making sure they had keys and making sure the lease is signed and making sure the rent comes in. And we really divvied up, the responsibilities and making sure that it worked for the company and worked for the employee. And it really just works, honestly. It is an additional responsibility that, we don't take lightly. However, to provide that sustainability for our team members just is huge. And it's aligned with our core values and just, really supporting the whole human, through work, so.
Yeah. What I'm really struck by is the journey of the small steps forward, taken in a consistent direction, lead to big change over time. Because you said when we first threw out the idea, you thought, wow, I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if I want to, all the, I don't know, as all the objections start going. And what the irony that I think about is when I was with Mike McAllowitz and Donna Lyons years ago on a business retreat, and we were talking about my top clients and their challenges, it was always hiring. And Mike McAllowitz said, you need to write a book for small business owners on hiring. And I was like, no, I don't have any expertise on that. I don't know what I'm doing. All that. I don't know. And do I really want to take that on? Well, and now we have the How to Hire the Best whole series of books. And here you were in that same place when we threw out that idea to address the biggest challenge that was keeping you from being able to have the A players that you want on your team. You thought, I don't know, it's a lot. And do I really want to do this? And then something happened and you did it, and you realized this is meaningful. This is making a difference. And you also said, because we're all about real life, you also said there have been challenges in doing this. It's not all, perfect. You're having to figure things out as you go. And nonetheless, it's working, and it's helped you keep some key employees and attract people to the team. So you've been in the How to Hire the Best course, and
a few times,
multiple times. So one of the cool things that we need to say about the How to Hire the Best course is, number one, when you come in, we know at Tap the Potential, because we work with business owners, you guys are busy. Life happens. You have had a lot of challenges and stressors come up over the last 2 years. So we've set the course up so you register once, but you can go through it as many times as you want. And every time you go through it, you're adding pieces to your hiring system, and you are collecting move forward action steps and points. And when you hit 90% of those move forward action steps, you qualify to be featured in our Great Place to Work Spotlight, while we're featuring Sarah here. And you have to understand, And when you hit those 90% of your move forward action steps, you have done significant work, not just on your hiring system, but also on your culture in your team. So when Sarah says she's gone through the course multiple times, every time she came through, she found something else to improve and make better and make stronger as she kept building her hiring system. And so it's those small steps forward. So what are some of the things that you have done in the last 2 years that have been really impactful to help you hire and attract and retain your team?
I think the most impactful piece has been our core values. We've always had core values from the beginning. I'm from a corporate background, and so is my husband. So they were very corporate, professional, and all of the things you'd expect in like, that type of environment. And we really relooked at what our core values were and who we were as a company. And we've always had very good retention with our team. And so just coming together with everybody and writing down like what is important, what makes a good employee, who are the people that are happy working with us, and just recreating those. One of our core values is people matter. The job and being efficient and all of that, is in there as well. But really at the end of the day, like people matter, our clients matter, our team members matter, everyone just really, being respectful and transparent with people. And along with that is putting the core values everywhere. We have multiple places within our office that they're posted. When you apply, you are being told and being presented with those multiple times through the steps. I mean, it's almost laughable. They're like, oh my gosh, the core values again. And, in there, it's like, a requirement of the job, you must feel aligned with our core values. It is a requirement. It is like, being able to be detail oriented when you're cleaning. I mean, it's right up there with those responsibilities. And it really has just brought everybody together with a clear vision of what's important. And, we're very big on just honesty and open communication. And so we have some big deal breakers, if people do, are not presenting as in an honest way, they don't last long at our company. And yeah, so I think that's the biggest thing. Some other things, we've worked on, advancement paths. One of the first times, maybe in the middle, 2 or 3rd time through, I worked on the cleaning, the housekeeper and what our ideal housekeeping position would be and who that person is, someone that, might like to just listen to their podcast while they're cleaning and really just, have some quiet time for this, just kind of trying to figure out who I'm trying to attract, and just doing some work around that. And then additionally with the advancement, the fact that, and just really, I did some art, with Canva and trying to just present a way for movement within the company, coming in as a housekeeper, and then some trajectories as far as inspecting and office. We do have some paths that people can grow if that's what they want to do. Some housekeepers really are just happy housekeeping on the side, so trying to really understand where, what our employees want, and and how they want to grow and being able to present that.
Yeah. So I want to just pause here. I've been posting comments and capturing some of the things that you've said. Like core values bring everyone together with a clear vision of what's important, and the opportunities for advancement and the paths that you've laid out. So let's talk about the core values a moment, because you have defined your core values come from your own core values. And in the How to Hire the Best book, these are called immutable laws. And they're immutable because they mean that you don't violate them. If you violate them, you're not a good fit. You're not representing the company culture. And so when you identified your core values and you took them from corporate speak to real language, share a little bit about your process. How did you do that?
it was really it was not overnight. It was a lot of note taking and brainstorming, discussions with my husband, Phil, discussions with our team members, trying to and we had an employee manual at the time that really did lay out kind of our rules of engagement when you come on to work with Cabin Works. So there were key, phrases that came out of that. The honesty thing is huge for me. I am honest with our clients. We are big on, even if it's bad news, just getting everything on the table and then doing our best to fix the thing. We've broken things, you're in a house with a dust mop and, sometimes things fall off the counter, and it's just being able to have a supportive environment around honesty and supporting our team and being able for them to be able to be honest with us is a huge piece. And just in kind of going through the importance, the transparency, we are very communicative. Communication is huge. We all kind of are in the loop with what's going on at certain properties. So we have a process for, how people report issues or, work orders or things, and just making sure that, people are on board with being communicative, telling us, that they've completed the job or the job's in progress, but such and such needs to happen. And just kind of working through, what people feel and think as far as being an employee. Family focused is a huge, we're a family friendly company, which is honestly, when we started the company, I had just had my first daughter, Olivia. And so literally it needed to be family focused because she was at work with me. She was on my hip. She was in the sling thing, whatever, I forget what they're called now, thank God. But, and so that was just already a requirement for the company to be able to embrace kids at work and kids in lives and being able to pivot to go to kids events and just things like that. We have, with COVID, one of our main team members, she wanted to homeschool because, she just didn't feel comfortable having her kiddo back in the public school system, and just being able to support her. And she and I actually haven't really gone back to work in the office since, because we just love working from home and we find ourselves more efficient. We can drop in and say hi to everybody, but we just really like working from home and just having that flexibility. When you can, I think that's a big piece, is really looking at what we're doing. And, I'm kind of getting off track with the core values, but just being able to be flexible where we can be to support the core values in the family friendly atmosphere, because we all have more than work.
So I want to share something about this, because I can't remember if it was when you were on the podcast last or shortly thereafter. But one of the pivotal decisions that you made is that your house cleaners would be able to bring kids on cleans with them during COVID. And that, for a lot of business owners, you think, oh my gosh, now the kids are going into the customers' homes. So, but you did that because your core values are family and flexibility. And there was a real issue, and you were having most of your cleaners have kids. And so they would have really struggled to find childcare for their kids. So that allowed you to retain team members and also attract them. So talk a little bit about how that has gone and what feedback have you heard?
Yeah, this was a really big pivot, for me personally, and for the company, coming from a corporate background, professionalism. I mean, we are professional, but we're, a little loose now, but, that was a deal breaker. Angie, my cleaning manager, she and I were on the same page, like just the liability and oh my gosh, what would the clients think? And just all of these barriers that we were really putting on ourselves for this. And sure, like the quality and focus is elevated when you don't have kids at work. Let's be honest, we all work with kids at home. I mean, there is a difference. However, The job can still be done. Additional checks and balances can be put in place. We have a waiver of rules. The kids can't be on trampolines or playground equipment. There's specific things that are not, that are really laid out as far as the rules of engagement when you do have kids. They have to be at a playpen if they're toddling, things like that. So there are rules that we put in place to support that working for the company. But it was interesting. When we have commercial clients and homes. And so the commercial clients, most it's not appropriate to bring kids, which is fine. We clean industrial plant, like they cannot be there. So, but
Yeah.
that's okay. But we have a lot of homeowner, just residential properties. And we, in reaching out to our clients, they were not only okay with it, but also applauding just thinking outside the box and being able to retain and have be able to accommodate our staff. Along with this challenge, we have the labor and housing challenge, which I mentioned. We have a childcare challenge here. We have our wait lists are over 100 families, 100 children at each of the childcare centers. And I was on a board for one of my kids' childcare centers for almost 10 years. So I was very aware of the challenges there and not having the staff or the space actually to bring on all of these new families that have moved and to be able to support in childcare. Not only, that piece, but when you do get into childcare, it's not inexpensive. And for a housekeeper to have to pay, when they do get off the wait list for a housekeeping job, sometimes it really doesn't make sense financially to work and have their child in childcare just with what they pay and what they make. And so that has been a real attraction. We've attracted a lot of parents, with kids through that change. And, we've had a few quality things that have come up, but really not any more so than when we didn't have kids. some people just have bad days and don't, and just don't have great cleans. We do, inspections to make sure we're checking internally, but really it hasn't negatively impacted the department in what it's brought positively to the department and the company as a whole. So
You have solved two of the biggest barriers for being able to hire and retain team members. And as you were talking about the kids, I was hearing like all the objections came up, all the reasons why this wouldn't work or why it was a bad idea. And you just kind of kept working through things and looked at, well, what do we need to put in place to be able to make this work? And where is it appropriate? Like industrial is not okay. You can't bring kids there, but homes, residences are okay. And I remember also you sent out a letter to your clients and customers and letting them know this would be happening. What was their response when you sent that?
Honestly, it was positive. I don't think we had any homeowners that had an issue, and it wasn't really, for the vacation. Well, so there was an option, to allow us or not. And we didn't really have anybody, decline, so it was very pro, like supporting the company and the staff, in that way. And, sometimes our team will choose, they have, childcare with a spouse or whatever, and, be able to clean on their own, but it does provide them an opportunity to be able to make money with their kids,
Yeah.
there. So, it's been very positive. And in fact, it's, when we talk to new cleaning leads that come in, we have a wait list in place. But it's kind of opposite. They're like applauding our progressiveness in allowing it.
Yes.
And, so before we ended up allowing children at work, we actually looked into having a childcare center in our office. So that was a big, undertaking. So we were talking to the licensing and people, and it ended up not working out because our building is commercial. And there were some hiccups with being able to have, a home daycare up to 4 children in a commercial building. But that was our preference, as we had a room allocated. We have, all of us had enough children's equipment to fully
Yeah.
stock the room. But being able to, after that was off the table, being able to pivot into this was really important because we're still solving the issue just in a different way.
That's incredible. And I want to just point out from a strategic perspective, this this is where the tap the potential solution really comes into play, because you have pumpkin planned your top clients so that they align with your core values. So you are now you've identified your core values, you have attracted team members who's they have alignment with your core values, and you also have top clients who align with core values. Those core values really are the glue of what's making all of this work. Because if you had other core values that you didn't embrace family and flexibility, none of this would be happening. But you would also have clients and customers who, if you tried to bring kids into their home, may have a completely different reaction to it. So I just want to underscore here, every one of us has the opportunity to create a business that aligns with who we are, and we don't have to follow the rules. We can paint outside the lines, and we can be different. And that's actually the difference. All the differences that you've got here, Sarah, are what's making that's what's making it work.
Yeah. I mean, I think just honestly, the pandemic was a big eye opener because we had to pivot in so many ways to keep things working. An example is all our files are on the cloud now. And I don't know that it was such an undertaking to be able to just do that, that it never probably would have happened because you never have time to do something like that. However, we needed to because we needed to work remotely. But beyond that, just, being open to changing or being open to modifying rules, like thinking about the rules and why you do things and think about why, because, there's a lot of, we've always done it this way, that especially with a busy entrepreneur or busy manager or whatever, it's hard to break out of the cycle of what you've always done because it's a lot of energy and time. However, just being open to looking at your current processes and saying, now, why am I doing this again? And just, and the kids at work was definitely a piece of that. The other is, same day turnovers for cleaning. We had to stop because of COVID and just having that 24-hour wait that was required with short-term rentals. And we have decided not to start that again. And we found our quality for cleaning is improved, but mostly the flexibility for the housekeeper has been improved. So they have more time to fit in the clean within their allotted time. We clean within 48 hours of departure or, between guests for our vacation rental type cleaning. And we've been able to provide them a bigger window of cleaning time to make it fit in their busy lives. So that's been another piece that we've really relooked at.
This is huge, and it ties to the flexibility, because we just did your key team member survey. So Sarah's also in our Better Business, Better Life program at Tap the Potential, and this is something that we do for our clients in that program. Is every year we survey your top team members, your A players on your team. And we ask them key questions about their perception of the business and what they appreciate about working for you, how they see you as different in your management style. And I read through the responses yesterday, and it was just like flexibility, family culture, flexibility, family culture. They care. They want to support us. I know, all of those things. But that willingness to be flexible, your team members appreciate that so much. And sometimes we can get really hung up on trying to take care of clients and not put enough thought to, well, if we do this for our clients, how does that impact our team members? So it sounds like you're really striking a good balance where you're looking at how can we create flexibility for our team members and still take care of the client's needs.
Yeah, we are really transparent with our clients about, when they come on, even on our wait list, about us not providing that same day turnover service. And for some people, it doesn't work, which is fine. They have smaller condos and they really like that same day and getting all the reservations in there. But for most, they're like, okay, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, it really has not been a deal breaker. And, you know, on the quality front and the flexibility front, I mean, just the positive results of just keeping that change in place has been really important for the strength of the department and retention of staff, because they can make it work. You know, we have full-time staff in that department, but full-time for us is over 30 hours a week. So they get benefits and everything. We've moved it from 40 to 30, you know, so I work 30, you know, all the team works 30. They can work up to 40, but really they get our benefits at 30.
So let's just underscore that you've changed. Full-time is 30 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's, and you know, forget where I was going with that, but they, some house cleaners, are at that 32 hour week, and others are, you know, maybe 4 hours a week, and they just do one clean each week to supplement their income and to just have time away from the house. And, you know, we have some team members that have been with us 4 and 5 years, just working at that like 4 to 6 hour a week time frame. And so to be able to be as flexible as possible to make that work for them is important. You know,
Yeah.
When we have Saturday, Sunday, Monday to do the clean, we don't say do it on Saturday. We do, you know, they get the same schedule. You can do it Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, you know, just.
Yeah. So for other business owners listening and hearing this, they're like, okay, so let me get this straight. You are providing employee housing. You have team members bringing kids to work, and full-time is 30 hours a week, and you're providing benefits. So Sarah, are you profitable?
I am, but we don't have all the benefits I'd like. I will say we don't have health insurance. I look at that every year. We have a 401k option, and we have, you know, some other benefits. One of our most popular and really exciting benefits is access to our grand passes, we call them. It's these this local nonprofit grand foundation here in our area is a organization that supports local local initiatives, whether it be, you know, local support for locals with undergoing cancer diagnosis that need like traveling stipends and support with their medical bills. There's a fund for that. We had wildfires here, and so there was a fund to support wildfire, you know, how people that have lost their homes, and other things that support a lot of local athletes that need support in supporting their like competitive you know, fees and things. So we are a sponsor. We're a corporate sponsor for that foundation. And by doing so, the money that we provide, it goes 100% to those nonprofit initiatives. And we receive 2 transferable passes that the staff can share and use at any of the ski resorts. They can get discounts at restaurants, golfing, mountain biking, you know, a lot of the YMCA here, which is like unlike any YMCA that you've probably been to. We have roller skating and just all this stuff over there. And so that is another benefit they get access to, and some other things. So one day I'd really love to provide the health piece, because I think that's so important.
Well, there's a couple pieces here. You really want to provide the health piece, and I think we all would. And at the same time, you have paid attention to what your team members value the most and what they ask about the most. So the flexibility in addressing, you know, some of the intangible things in their lives may be more important to some than the health insurance at this point, because you can't work at all if you don't have childcare.
Mm-hmm.
You can't work at all if you don't have a place to live. So you're addressing some of the big pieces. The other benefit that came up a lot on your key team member surveys were the gas cards that you provide. And I know right now with the economy, that's a big deal. So talk a little bit about that piece.
Yeah, so we have a city market that where we can get them gift certificates that can be used for groceries or fuel. These days, everybody's using them for fuel. but it's it's a bonus that they are provided with their paycheck, every other week. And they receive, per cleaning. The maintenance department is a little different, but in addition to their paycheck, they receive a card that they can use to supplement the groceries and gas, the prices they're paying during the week. And those are just, people love those because they can go to the grocery store and check out with
Yeah.
them. There's a substantial amount. So that has been really positive. And then we also do bonuses throughout the year. Our housekeepers, everybody's kind of on a different schedule. But the housekeeping department, they have an end of season bonus based on how much they're working and how long they've been with a company. And they really look forward to that because we are working as a company to be more year round, less seasonal, and we've made a lot of strides there. But we do still have a busy season, and the summer and the winter are busier than between the off seasons, we call them. And so just to be able to provide a little boost in those off seasons was another thing that people really, marked high on their survey of benefits as being important. And health really has never been, for my current staff, like really up there, either because of their partner being able to provide the health care. But we do look at that every year because it really depends on who we have with the company and the importance, based on who's working for us and what their situation is.
Yeah. So you are really doing a great job of tuning into who are the A players that you have on your team, who are the A players that you want to attract, what's important to them, what challenges and barriers do they have to work for us, and how do I eliminate those so that I can attract those A players and keep them on my team. The number one way to be profitable is to have a system for hiring the best, to put attention on what your A players want and need and what they value most. And when you retain your team, you're eliminating so much hidden cost and expense in the business. And that's really, even though all the things that Sarah's talking about, they cost money, and she's profitable because they've eliminated a lot of the turnover, the hidden costs associated with turnover. So that's very significant. You have done an amazing job creating a great place to work, Sarah. And so I want to celebrate you. And your team members, I've had the honor of working with several of them in our leadership boot camp. And it's so clear when we see their feedback in the key team member survey, and you talk about your team and all the things that you're doing, and then they show up in our leadership bootcamp program and they talk about what it's like to work at Cabin Works. There's alignment there. So like everything that Sarah is saying, I've heard her team members say this too. And you have A players. I've had the privilege of working with them. And so I hope that what we've shared with you today here on the podcast has inspired you. The big, powerful question, Sarah, I know you love the powerful questions. The powerful question that keeps coming up for me as you were talking is that powerful question of what's possible. Rather than focusing on, we can't do this because, or that would never work because, you've really embraced that question of what's possible. And so I want to leave that with our listeners and viewers and just leave that for you to think about what's possible. What barriers have you been putting in place, or what are the rules that you've believed you had to follow? And if you take those out of the way, what's possible for you with your business with respect to hiring? I do want to say before we wrap up that we have a webinar coming up where I'm going to talk about what's important right now to A players, all those intangible perks. And we talked a lot about your intangible perks that you're offering. On that webinar, I'm going to be talking more in depth about the psychology of A players, because they are very different than your average warm body team member. They want different things, and a lot of them are the intangible perks. We didn't get much time to go into the career path and the path for advancement that Sarah was talking about, but that's a key piece. And every role, it can have a path for advancement. And Sarah's done a beautiful job for someone who comes in and does housekeeping, how they have opportunities to advance in her company. So we're going to be getting more into what A players want and creating opportunities for advancement, even with entry-level roles in this webinar. And you can register for it at tapthepotential.com/hire the best. So Sarah, as we go out, I want to give you the parting words. If you could talk to yourself 2 years ago when you were in the midst of like the biggest hiring challenges ever, what would you go back and say?
I think I would remind myself that even though it's overwhelming, because many of us entrepreneurs want to change everything right now, the important thing is to just focus on, moving forward, even if it's a small step. I call it like just moving the needle forward just a little bit, because we all get busy, and that's really, it's just to get that achievable chunk that you can do and have control over, and just take a step forward and do it, over and over again. One of the most powerful things of, our meetings within the Better Business, Better Life program is going through our wins, even for the previous week. And recently I just did our milestone, which was the previous year, and writing down all that, I accomplished and our team accomplished. I mean, I'm overwhelmed by how much we did, and if I were to start with that list at the beginning, I mean, it's easy to just feel kind of, oh my gosh, how am I going to get this done? But really it happens by just taking that small step and just keep taking steps forward. So that's what I tell myself.
That's beautiful. I so appreciate you sharing that, Sarah. And I'm so glad that you were our 200th episode guest.
I'm very honored.
Yes, I'm honored. And it's wonderful to have you here and to get to share your story and your journey. So thank you for taking the time and being with us today.
Thank you, Dr. Sabrina.